Video game boss fights, above all else, are supposed to be challenging skill checks in which the player has their mettle tested against a tough, often comically oversized foe. And while many boss fights have multiple methods for victory, sometimes there's a tricksy, even comically simple alternate method which few players actually know about. In some cases, the developers absolutely intended for attentive players to uncover these tricks, while in others it was nothing more than a programming oversight. In extreme examples, players are even able to take advantage of glitches and exploits to net themselves a comically straightforward win against an otherwise infuriatingly challenging boss. Though most of these alternate strategies won't bring you much pride or cred among your gaming brethren, they will nevertheless save you a ton of time, effort, and fits of rage where you contemplate hurling your wireless controller through an open window. And so, I am Kirsten Ria from WhatCulture Gaming, and these are 10 alternate video game boss strategies that you never knew. Number 10, use the grappling hook to beat RAVELLO in seconds. Just Cause 3. Just Cause 3's final boss fight sees the player taking on antagonist General Sebastiano di Ravello inside an active volcano, while he's holed up in the apparent safety of a helicopter gunship. Though the obvious implication is that you need to slog it through a tough battle against Ravello and his chopper, there's a hilariously simple alternate method, one so devastatingly simple you probably never even thought of it. Players can use Rico's trusty grappling hook to tether the helicopter to the ground whenever its shields aren't up, causing it to immediately crash land and explode in a glorious fireball. And just like that, a potentially aggravating boss fight requiring numerous attempts is reduced to a 15-second cakewalk. Number 9, shoot the statues to break Psycho Mantis' control. Metal Gear Solid. Metal Gear Solid's Psycho Mantis is one of the most ingeniously tricky bosses in video game history, given his ability to read the mind of Solid Snake, ensuring all of the player's attempts to attack Mantis are blocked or otherwise countered. 2 decades on, everyone knows the main method to beat Mantis. You simply switch your controller from port 1 to port 2, breaking the psychic hold over Snake and allowing you to finally mount some offense. But there's another lesser-known strategy for players who will continue to die after ignoring or misunderstanding Colonel Campbell's advice about the controller trick. Campbell will call Snake again and tell him to shoot the 2 mask-wearing bust statues in the office, which will immediately break Mantis' psychic hold as though you'd simply done the controller trick. Trying to do this right after the start of the battle won't suffice though, you need to wait until advised by Campbell. Number 8, fight the Reaper during flu season. Persona 5. If battled conventionally, Persona 5 Reaper is one of the toughest bosses in the entire game, though thankfully also an optional adversary. But the game's original release came with an amusing exploit to help out the embattled players. If you wait to fight the Reaper until the flu season months of November and December, it'll be stricken with despair and die after just 3 turns, giving players an easy win. Unsurprisingly, many players also decided to farm this encounter for major XP gains, which is certainly preferable to fighting an extremely tough battle against an intensely powerful and resilient foe. However, for the recent release of the expanded Persona 5 Royal, the flu season exploit was removed entirely, instead inviting brave players to take on the Reaper for real. Or, not. Number 7, fire arrows at Manus from outside the combat area. Dark Souls. Manus, Father of the Abyss, was the final boss in Dark Souls Artorias of the Abyss DLC, and is undeniably one of the most challenging foes, if not the most, in the entire series. Manus is gigantic, agile, and tough to mount much of an offensive momentum against, no matter your build. Even for the standards of a Dark Souls boss, he can make short work of even the most skilled players, and beating him the hard way is a short exercise in willful self-flagellation. But there's a hilariously simple way to kill Manus without him being able to get anywhere near you. The cheese method involves equipping an upgraded bow with long-range arrows, while using the Hawk Ring to extend the weapon's range. Basically, stand on the cliff edge by the fog gates, which triggers the start of the Manus fight. From there, you can see Manus' eyes glowing a faint red. From there, fire arrows at him continuously for a solid 10 to 15 minutes until his health is whittled down. And voila! You just stomped one of the toughest Dark Souls bosses with minimal stress. Yes, it's cheap and the exact opposite of the way From Software wanted you to beat Manus, but in a game this punishingly difficult, anything goes. Number 6, kill the Yellow Devil in one hit with a pause button exploit. Mega Man. Mega Man's very first boss fight is the infamously tough Yellow Devil, a gigantic yellow robot capable of disassembling itself and throwing its various body parts at Mega Man before reassembling. The key to defeating the Yellow Devil is attacking its red eye for a brief window of time when it's reassembled, though doing so enough times to actually defeat the damn thing is a lot easier said than done. But But there is an unintentional helping hand by way of a ridiculous glitch which infuriated players can gleefully exploit. Basically, after firing the Thunder Beam at Yellow Devil's eye, pausing and unpausing the game in rapid succession will allow you to inflict repeat damage upon him, because the game isn't able to distinguish that these are in fact the same attack. Though this cheese method was regrettably removed from some ports of the classic game, it was mercifully restored for 2015's Mega Man Legacy Collection. Number 5. Give a Phoenix down to the Phantom Train. Final Fantasy VI. Final Fantasy VI's Phantom Train boss fight is fondly remembered above all else for the player's meme-worthy ability to have Sabin freaking suplex the haunted locomotive. Compared to most bosses on this list, the Phantom Train actually isn't too much trouble. As long as you make concerted use of Sabin's Meteor Strike and conscientiously heal your party, there's not too much to fear here. But if you want to save yourself some time and effort, there's a far simpler way to end the fight. Just throw a Phoenix down in the train's face. In the Final Fantasy universe, Phoenix Downs are, of course, used to revive KO'd opponents, and so when used against an undead foe, they instead have the effect of turning them dead. Easy peasy. Number 4. Fire a crossbow bolt directly in GOLYAT'S eye for an insta-kill. The Witcher 3 Blood and Wine. The Witcher 3's brilliant Blood and Wine DLC features an early mission, the Beast of TYSON'S, where the player faces off against the gigantic barrel-headed boss known as GOLYAT. Much like the Phantom Train, GOLYAT isn't too challenging, as long as you keep your distance from his powerful club attacks, but developers at CD Projekt Red nevertheless included an amusing shortcut for players wanting to fell him a little quicker. Basically, if you're able to launch a crossbow bolt directly into the eye hole of GOLYAT'S barrel helmet, you'll not only score an instant kill no matter his health at any point, but also unlock the David and GOLYAT achievement. While it might take a few attempts to land a winning shot, especially as GOLYAT likes to move around a lot, it's certainly a quicker and funnier route to victory than actually fighting him proper. Number 3. Use the BFG exploit to quickly destroy the Spider Mastermind. Doom 2016. Doom 2016's boss fights are pretty tricky, especially on higher difficulties, culminating in the epic battle against the game's final boss, the Spider Mastermind. Though done the intended way, this boss can take upwards to 5 minutes to beat after numerous failed attempts. Flagging players can save themselves some hassle by taking advantage of one of the BFG 9000's secret accidental abilities. Basically, fire the BFG just clear of the Spider Mastermind and then immediately bring up the weapon wheel. The weapon wheel slows time down to a crawl but doesn't also reduce the damage caused by projectiles, allowing the BFG projectile spark to continue dealing massive damage to the boss. With this method, you're able to drain 90% of its health in a solid 20 seconds flat, leaving you to spam whatever you've got left in your arsenal to whittle away the remaining 10%. Number 2. Use the fishing rod to distract Ganondorf. The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess culminates, of course, with an epic final battle against Ganondorf, the last phase of which sees Link and his eternal foe duking it out in a good old-fashioned sword fight. Though not punishingly difficult, the fight can nevertheless last a long time due to Ganondorf's sheer strength and the few openings that he provides the player to attack. But you can change that incredibly easily by periodically equipping Link's fishing rod, which will distract the boss for a few seconds and leave him completely open to attacks from your Master Sword. This isn't the first time the Zelda series has allowed players to fell Ganondorf with the help of a seemingly everyday object. Ocarina of Time let players reflect his attacks back at him with a bottle of all things, so it's safe to assume that it's an intentional eccentricity rather than a developer oversight. Number 1. Secret visual cues tell you when to punch. Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! Mike Tyson's Punch-Out may have been on the market for over 30 years, but only in recent times have some of the game's fascinatingly subtle mechanics actually been revealed. Back in 2009, the late great Nintendo president and CEO, Satoru Iwata, revealed that the infamously difficult boxing game actually featured hidden visual cues to indicate the most opportune moment for players to strike. Iwata stated that when fighting mid-game boss Bold Bull for the first time, the flash of a camera signals the perfect time to throw a punch, and in 2016, fans uncovered that there were other sneaky tells hidden throughout several boss fights in the game. In the second fight against Piston Honda and Bold Bull in the game's second half, a bearded man in the front row of the audience will distinctly bob his head down, indicating that players should throw a punch to knock the fighters down. That these hidden tactics went largely undiscovered for over 2 decades is staggeringly impressive, giving players a much needed leg up. And there we go, the 10 alternate video game boss strategies that you never knew. If you're gonna go give these a try for real now, leave us a comment down below and let us know. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, click that subscribe button and don't forget to also click that bell icon. But for now, I have been Kirsten Ria from WhatCulture Gaming, and I will see you in the next video.